There's a kind of pain that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with sirens or warnings. It slips into your life quietly, wrapped in familiarity, disguised as love. And because it comes from the people you've known your whole life, you convince yourself it's normal. You tell yourself it's just how they are. You make excuses. You adapt. You shrink. But here's what nobody tells you. Tolerating toxic behavior from family doesn't make you loyal. It makes you a prisoner in your own life. You've been taught since childhood that family is everything, that blood is thicker than water, that no matter what happens, you stand by your people. And those lessons, they're beautiful when the love is real and the respect is mutual. But when those same lessons are used to justify harm, they become chains. They keep you tethered to relationships that drain you, diminish you, and slowly erode your sense of self. The truth is, some of the people closest to you may never understand the damage they cause. They may never apologize. They may never change. And waiting for them to see what they've done is like waiting for a storm to apologize for the rain. It won't happen. The question isn't whether they'll change. The question is whether you will finally choose yourself. This video isn't about hate. It's not about cutting people off out of spite or bitterness. It's about something far more important, protecting your peace. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength begins when you stop letting other people's dysfunction dictate your emotional reality. What you're about to hear are 7 toxic behaviors you should never tolerate, not from friends, not from partners, and not even from family. These aren't small issues. These are patterns that shape your self-worth, your mental health, and your entire sense of what you deserve. You've probably experienced at least one of them, maybe all 7. And if you have, you've likely spent years wondering if you were the problem. You're not. If this is hitting home right now, type "I choose me" in the comments. Let that be your first boundary. Recognizing toxicity isn't about being dramatic or unforgiving. It's about clarity. It's about seeing things as they truly are, not as you wish they were. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the awakening. That's where your power lives. So let's walk through this together. I'm going to name each behavior clearly, explain why it's damaging, and show you how Stoic wisdom and psychological truth can help you reclaim your boundaries and your peace. This isn't easy work, but it's necessary, and by the end, you'll understand something vital. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone has earned the right to your energy, and protecting yourself from harm, even when it comes from family, is not cruelty. It's self-respect. Let's begin. Behavior 1. Emotional manipulation is control disguised as care. It's when someone twists your feelings, weaponizes your empathy, and makes you question your own reality. They don't ask for what they want. They make you feel guilty until you give it to them. They don't respect your decisions. They undermine them with tears, silence, or passive-aggressive comments until you fold. This is the person who says, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," when you set a boundary. The one who plays the victim every time you try to advocate for yourself. The one who turns every conversation into a guilt trip so effective you forget what you were even upset about in the first place. Here's the trap. Manipulation works because you care. It preys on your kindness, your sense of responsibility, your desire to keep the peace. And over time, it trains you to prioritize their comfort over your own truth. You stop saying what you feel. You stop asking for what you need. You become smaller and smaller until you barely recognize yourself. The Stoics would call this a loss of autonomy. Epictetus taught that no one can control you without your consent. But manipulation doesn't ask for consent. It sneaks past your defenses and makes you believe that caring for yourself is somehow selfish. It's not. If someone consistently uses your emotions against you, that's not love, that's control. And you don't owe anyone control over your peace, not even family. Behavior 2. Disrespect doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up in the little dismissals, the cutting jokes, the way someone talks over you like your voice doesn't matter. It's the eye roll when you share something important, the sarcastic remark that stings just enough to hurt, but not enough for you to call it out, without sounding sensitive. Chronic disrespect is when someone repeatedly treats you as less than. They belittle your accomplishments, mock your emotions, or ignore your needs as if they're irrelevant. And when you finally say something, they tell you you're overreacting. They tell you it's just a joke. They make you the problem for having feelings. This behavior is insidious because it's often normalized. You've heard it so many times you start to believe it. You start to think maybe you are too sensitive, maybe you should toughen up, maybe it's not that serious. But here's the truth. Disrespect over time teaches you that you don't matter. It chips away at your self-worth one comment at a time until you no longer expect to be treated with basic human dignity. Seneca said, "Associating with people who do not uplift you is a silent form of self-destruction." Disrespect is emotional erosion. It wears you down slowly, so slowly you don't notice until you're standing in a crater wondering how you got there. You deserve to be treated with respect, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, always, and if someone can't offer that, they don't deserve a place in your life. Behavior 3. Boundaries are not walls, they're guidelines. They tell people how to treat you, what you will and won't accept, and where your emotional space begins. But some people see boundaries as challenges, as obstacles to overcome, as things that don't apply to them because they're family. They show up uninvited. They ask invasive questions. They demand access to your time, your money, your energy, your private life. And when you say no, they act wounded. They accuse you of being cold, distant, ungrateful. They make your boundary about their feelings instead of your needs. Here's what makes boundary violations so damaging. They send a message that you don't have the right to protect yourself, that your comfort, your privacy, your peace are less important than their desire for access. And when you're conditioned from childhood to believe that family doesn't need permission, it becomes almost impossible to enforce those boundaries without drowning in guilt. But listen closely. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's necessary. It's the difference between a relationship built on respect and one built on intrusion. The Stoics understood that you cannot control other people's actions, but you can control what you allow into your life. You have the power to say, this far and no further. Boundary violations don't stop until you stop them. And that requires something many people struggle with, choosing your own well-being over someone else's comfort. It requires believing that you matter enough to take up space and say no. You do. Behavior 4. Guilt is a powerful weapon, and in the hands of someone who knows you well, it's devastatingly effective. Guilt tripping happens when someone makes you feel responsible for their emotions, their choices, their happiness. They don't ask you to help. They make you feel like a bad person if you don't. This is the parent who sighs and says, "I guess I'll just spend the holiday alone." The sibling who reminds you of every favor they've ever done, so you feel indebted forever. The relative who frames every request as a test of your loyalty, your love, your worth, And when you hesitate, when you consider your own needs, they make you feel selfish, cruel, ungrateful. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Love is not supposed to feel like debt. Relationships are not transactions. You are not obligated to sacrifice your mental health, your time, your peace, just because someone shares your DNA. The Stoics believed in duty, yes, but they also believed in wisdom. And wisdom means knowing the difference between genuine responsibility and manufactured guilt. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of acting with virtue, not out of guilt or fear of judgment. Obligation rooted in manipulation is not virtue, it's coercion. You don't owe anyone your life, you don't owe anyone your joy, and you certainly don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. Guilt is only effective if you let it be. The moment you recognize it for what it is, control, you take back your power. Behavior 5. Neglect is the absence of something essential. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's silent. It's the lack of support when you need it most. The dismissal of your feelings. The coldness when you reach out. It's being physically present but emotionally absent. And it leaves a wound that's hard to name because nothing technically happened. You were just ignored. Emotional neglect teaches you that your feelings don't matter, that your pain is inconvenient, that you're too much, too needy, too sensitive. So you stop sharing, you stop asking, you convince yourself you don't need anyone, and in the process you become a stranger to your own emotions. This is the family member who never asks how you're doing, who changes the subject when you try to talk about something real, who forgets your birthday, your accomplishments, your struggles, but expects you to show up for theirs. It's the relationship where you're always giving, always understanding, always available, but when you need the same in return, there's nothing. Here's the difficult truth. You can't make someone care. You can't force someone to see you, and waiting for them to finally notice your worth is a form of self-abandonment. The Stoics taught that we must focus on what's within our control. You cannot control whether someone chooses to value you, but you can control whether you continue to accept emotional starvation as normal. You are not asking for too much when you ask to be seen. You're asking for the bare minimum. Behavior 6. Intimidation doesn't always involve physical violence. Sometimes it's the tone, the look, the way someone's anger fills a room and makes you walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. It's the raised voice that shuts down conversation, the cold silence that punishes you for speaking up, the unpredictable moods that keep you constantly anxious, always guessing, never safe. Control is what happens when intimidation becomes a pattern. It's when someone uses fear to shape your behavior, your choices, your life. They tell you what to wear, who to see, what to think. They monitor your actions and make you account for every decision. And when you resist, they escalate. They make you afraid of the consequences of your own autonomy. This behavior destroys your sense of self. It teaches you that peace comes at the cost of your freedom, that safety requires submission, and over time, you forget what it's like to make a choice without fear. You forget what your own voice sounds like. The Stoics believed deeply in inner freedom. Epictetus, who was once a slave, wrote extensively about the one thing no one can take from you, your mind. But intimidation tries to take even that. It tries to colonize your thoughts, your feelings, your sense of what's acceptable. You are not obligated to stay in any relationship where you feel afraid. Not romantic, not familial, not any. Fear is not love. Control is not care. And anyone who makes you feel small to keep themselves big does not deserve your presence. Behavior 7. Conditional love is the cruelest form of affection. It says, I'll love you, but only if you agree with me, only if you meet my expectations, only if you become who I want you to be. It's love with strings attached, and those strings tighten every time you try to be yourself. This is the parent who only expresses pride when you achieve something they value, the sibling who only calls when they need something, the family member whose warmth disappears the moment you set a boundary, make a choice they don't approve of, or live a life that doesn't match their vision. It's love that requires you to earn it over and over with no guarantee you ever will. Conditional love teaches you that you are only acceptable when you're useful, compliant, or convenient, that your worth is tied to your performance, that who you truly are is not enough. And over time, you start to believe it. You start shape-shifting, people-pleasing, contorting yourself into whatever version they'll accept, and in the process, you lose yourself entirely. Here's the truth that will set you free. Real love doesn't have conditions. It doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't withdraw when you make mistakes or change or grow. Real love says, I see you as you are, and that is enough. Anything less than that is not love. It's a transaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. But he also knew that love must be mutual. That respect must be reciprocal. You cannot pour your heart into a relationship where your value is conditional. You are not a product to be approved or rejected. You are a human being worthy of unconditional respect, simply because you exist. So now you see it. The fog has lifted. You've recognized the patterns, the behaviors, the slow erosion of your peace. And if you're feeling heavy right now, that's okay. Awareness is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront truths you may have been avoiding for years. But discomfort is not your enemy. It's the first step toward freedom. Let's talk about what comes next. Because recognizing toxicity is only half the battle. The other half is deciding what you're going to do about it. And this is where most people get stuck. They see the problem clearly, but they don't believe they have permission to act. They feel guilty, selfish, afraid. They worry about what people will think, what family will say, whether they're overreacting or being too harsh. Let me be clear. Protecting your peace is not overreacting. Setting boundaries is not cruelty, and choosing yourself is not betrayal. The Stoics had a concept called the inner citadel. It's the idea that your mind, your inner world, is a fortress, and you are the guardian of that fortress. You decide who gets in. You decide what stays out. No one, no matter how close they are, has the automatic right to breach your walls and wreak havoc on your peace. Not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone. Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. You cannot control how your family behaves. You cannot force them to respect you, see you, or treat you with the dignity you deserve. But you can control how much access they have to your life. You can control whether you continue to tolerate behavior that harms you. You can control whether you stay or walk away. And here's the part no one tells you. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is distance, not out of hate, not out of revenge, but out of preservation, out of a deep, sacred commitment to your own well-being. Because you matter, your mental health matters, your peace matters. And sacrificing those things to maintain a relationship that's slowly destroying you is not noble, it's self-abandonment. Boundaries don't mean you stop loving someone. They mean you start loving yourself enough to say, I will not accept this treatment anymore. They mean you recognize that love should never cost you your sense of self. That loyalty should never require you to betray your own needs. That family, no matter how important, does not get a free pass to hurt you. Will it be easy? No. Will people understand? Probably not. Will you feel guilty at first? Almost certainly. But guilt is not proof that you're wrong. Guilt is often just the residue of old conditioning, old beliefs that told you your needs don't matter as much as everyone else's. And unlearning that takes time. It takes courage. It takes practice. Start small. Set one boundary. Say no to one request. Walk away from one conversation that drains you. Notice how it feels. Notice the resistance, both from within and from others. And keep going, because every boundary you set, every time you choose your peace over their comfort, you're reclaiming a piece of yourself. You're building that inner citadel stronger. Seneca wrote, "Associating with people who do not uplift you is a silent form of self-destruction." You don't have to destroy yourself to prove your love. You don't have to light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And you don't have to tolerate toxic behavior just because the person displaying it is family. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose peace, even when it's lonely, even when it's hard, even when no one else understands. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some people have proven, through their actions, that they cannot be trusted with your heart. And recognizing that isn't cold. It's clarity, it's wisdom, it's self-respect. So here's your final reflection. Who are you protecting by staying silent? Who benefits from your tolerance of behavior that hurts you? Is it them? Or is it the version of you that's too afraid to believe you deserve better? You deserve better. You always have. And the moment you truly believe that, everything changes. If this resonated with you, if you're finally ready to stop shrinking for people who won't grow, leave a comment below. I deserve respect. Subscribe to the Stoic Mode and turn on notifications so you never miss the wisdom that strengthens your inner fortress. We're building something powerful here, a community that chooses clarity over comfort. Thank you for listening. Protect your peace.